Welcome back to the C Squared University podcast. I'm your host, Latasha James, and today we're going to be talking about social media audits. It is officially the new year, and this is the best time of year to go back and look at what worked for you in the year prior and just take stock of your goals for the year ahead. I think 2023 is going to be a very exciting year for social media, and I hope you're as excited about it as we are here at C Squared. A social media audit is one of the best things to do to make sure that you're on track to hit your goals for 2023. So let's dive into what's included in one today. The first thing that you're going to want to do as part of your social media audit is just make a list of all of your social media properties. I know this might sound a little bit obvious, but in today's world, which has so many different platforms and content types out there, it's easy to lose track of everything. So make a note of all of the profiles that your brand owns or that your brand has a login to. And make sure to note everything. So don't just write Facebook. Do you have a Facebook page? Do you have a Facebook group? Do you have a Facebook personal profile? Write all of those things down so you can keep track of all of those different properties and just add those to a document, list them out, make sure that you have access to all of them, that none of them have gone completely dark. If you don't have access to any of them, maybe a past agency or past employee set them up for you, make sure that you get that access and note that as an action item so that you can either revive them, delete them, archive them, etc. Now, the next thing that you want to do with all of those profiles, aside from just having access, is making sure that all of their branding fits your guidelines. So you should have some guidelines for your brand. If you don't yet, that's something that your marketing agency can probably help you put together, or that you can put together on your own as well. Just coming up with what is the key messaging that our brand should be adhering to? What is the current logo? What are the appropriate fonts and colors that we should be using for our brand? What are the calls to actions that we should be using? So for example, Instagram allows you a link in your profile. Where should that link be going to? Is that a uniform link, like a link tree or a links page on your website? Is it going to a contact form? Make sure that all of that stuff is noted down in a brand book or a brand guidelines document, and that everything is up to par. Again, this one might sound kind of obvious, but when you have multiple different accounts, it can actually be really easy to let this stuff get out of hand. I cannot tell you how many times I've had to delete logos that were, 3 or 4 years old or out of date from brand accounts. So just make sure that everything looks good, everything's up to date and accurate as far as brand. Now, here's where we get into the strategy. You want to make sure that you have a goal for each platform, or that each platform is serving a purpose for you. So for example, LinkedIn might be your primary recruiting channel where you source new hires for your business, whereas Instagram might be more about employer brand and just generating more awareness and engagement of your company and having people want to work with you or want to do business with you. Meanwhile, you might be using Facebook for Facebook ads and acquiring leads through those ads. So each platform should have a focus. Some of them might be the same. You might have Instagram and Facebook might both be lead acquisition or traffic channels for you, but some of them might be different. Instagram might be different from LinkedIn, might be different from Twitter, might be different from TikTok. So make sure that you can note down what is our goal with each of these platforms. And in addition to having a goal, you should also associate that with a key metric, or what we would call a KPI, or key performance indicator. So if our number one goal with LinkedIn is hires, then we're going to put, new hires or leads acquired, hiring leads acquired. If our number one goal with TikTok is sales of a product, then we're gonna write down traffic or conversions based off of that TikTok traffic. I like to use the acronym SMART for setting goals, which stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely, meaning that it should be specific, as in you're not just going to say, we want to grow on this platform. Well, what does this mean? Do you want to grow followers? Do you want to grow traffic? Do you want to grow engagement, right? Next, it should be measurable, meaning that it's something you actually have access to measure. We don't want to say, we want people to like us more on Instagram, because that is a little bit hard to measure sentiment, but you can say we want more engagement or we want to grow our traffic. Attainable means that we're not going to set an out of this world goal. Now, I'm all about stretch goals and pushing ourselves to the limits, but I'm probably not going to say I want to grow our account by 1 million if historically we grew every year by just 1,000, right? I might try to make a stretch goal that's a little bit more attainable and say, hey, let's do 1,500 or 2,000 versus, 1 million. Relevant, meaning that it's actually going to impact your business's bottom line. This is important. A lot of times people will get focused on numbers like followers or likes, and those things definitely are important. Don't get me wrong. But in a lot of cases, they're actually not the most important thing. If you're looking to earn more money, followers alone do not make you more money. I actually want to be focusing more on driving more traffic and in turn getting more conversions, right? So make sure that that social media goal is tied to your overall business objectives. And lastly, that it's timely or time bound, meaning that you can say, we want to grow our engagement month over month, or in the next year, we want to reach, 1 million people, or whatever that is going to look like for you. Okay, so now that you have your goal set, go back into 2022 or whatever year prior and measure those goals. Make sure that you have a good baseline or benchmark for those goals. So maybe last year you drove, 100 clicks over to the website from TikTok. So now you have a benchmark to start from, and you could say this year we want to double that or triple that or 10x that or whatever it is that you want to do. So go back, measure, look at your analytics. You can use your platform's native analytics, meaning that you're going into Instagram, LinkedIn, etc., and just using those analytics. You might set up a Google Analytics account so that you can actually measure your traffic, or you could use a social media tool that actually aggregates all of that data for you. That's totally up to you, and that's something that your agency can help you decide on as well. Now, while you're in your analytics of your social media platforms, you're gonna wanna look at your top performing content, the content that actually drove the most traffic, drove the most engagements, drove the most follows. Look at that content and just take note of what it is and what trends you might be seeing. Were all of your top posts about one particular topic? Were they shot or filmed or photographed in a particular style? Was there a certain subject that tended to perform the best? Maybe a certain employee or host or customer that really just got people excited. Just start to pay attention to all of those different trends, study those things, and see how you can replicate those things. If all of your top posts on Instagram were taken outside, well, take more photos outside. If all of your top YouTube videos featured one particular customer, then see if they can come back for a round 2 of their testimonials. Do whatever you can do to kind of repeat that success in a way that feels authentic to your 2023 goals. And lastly, you want to identify new opportunities. 2023, I think, is going to be such an exciting year for social media. We've got short form vertical video continuing to rise with platforms like YouTube making big investments in YouTube Shorts. We've got some interesting things happening with Twitter. Who knows really where that's going to go? We've got ad platforms all competing for their advertisers' dollars. So it's going to be an exciting year. There's new platforms popping up, new content types popping up, and you don't want to be just totally stuck in your ways. So looking back at your business goals and your overall social media goals, see if any of these new opportunities fit, if they make sense for you to at least pilot and test. Maybe you run a 90-day pilot of a new platform like TikTok, for example, and you measure all of that data from TikTok. You measure your traffic, you measure your engagements, you measure your follower growth, and see if that's something that you want to continue repeating for the rest of the year. But this doesn't just have to do with platforms either. Maybe TikTok isn't for you, but maybe you are doing really well on Instagram, but you haven't yet set up an Instagram shop, or you haven't yet tested running Instagram ads, right? There are tons of features just within each of these different social platforms that you may want to weigh out trying. Something that you can do for that is look at some of your top competitors or other people in your industry and see if they're using these features, see if they seem to be having success with them, because if they are, that's a pretty good indicator that maybe you should be trying them as well. You can also go back to basics and just survey your audience too and say, hey, Where are you spending most of your time on social media these days? Are you on YouTube Shorts? Are you on TikTok? Are you on LinkedIn? So you can take some of that more qualitative data and go back to your social team or agency and see if that makes sense for you to try. So will you be doing a social media audit this year? I hope you will be just taking, an hour or so to look at all of this data and really think through what you want out of your social media marketing plan for the new year can be super helpful in ensuring that you're on the right track. And if you need a partner to help you analyze some of this data or brainstorm some new ideas, definitely reach out to the team at C-Squared. They are a full-service marketing agency that is data-driven. They work with brands in all different industries and are super knowledgeable, and I couldn't recommend them more. So there's a link down in the description box to get in touch with us at csquaredsocial.com. And let us know if you have any questions about this episode or about conducting a social media audit in the comments. We'll be checking those out. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You can also subscribe on Spotify if you prefer to listen to this on the go as an audio podcast. And we'll see you next week for a new one. Bye-bye.